Yeah. Vainglorious Vanguard.
Knowledge born.
Yeah.
United front.
Tell it.
What you want.
To the Knowledge Radio.
We in here. What you got? Dot.
Work hard as a slave to one day be your savior. The wave unwavering. This is a labor of love. Rise with a purpose every day. Invigorated. If we were on TV, we'd be 10 times syndicated. If we waited for validation, a paycheck or accolades, we'd be starved, already lost or ran away. But when your square solid and your circle too, you don't need a place for silence. The concept is conquered through media, not areas of people activity. A mix that don't lose ethnicity, tightness that don't lose elasticity. Explicitly, this isn't where we give the novice regard. Nah, this is where knowledge is born. Last time that I checked, I'm undefeated. Deliver edicts, can't resist when the gods build and manifest freedom. When lines get crossed, they may push a loss, cause they get handed a check. We kick a can and cancel your cancerous gestures. A prophet vision, precision, the prescription for the sickness is to inoculate your fate with the winning. Arrogant beginnings turn to humble endings. And US with KBA is a win-win. 1K.
I mean, where is he from? No, that's too much for me. Black people walk like that because we have style, we got flavor, we got rhythm. I mean, the black man in America is the most copied man on this planet, bar none. Everybody want to be a nigga, but nobody want to be a nigga. How about that question?
All right. We are live here on Tuesday, and it's not so current events Tuesday. And this is about to be an amazing broadcast brought to you live by the Prime Minister herself. Sass Shwa is in the building. So let's do this. Fair Use Act disclaimer. We did have permission to use that clip from Paul Mooney's daughter, Spring Mooney. Shout out to her for giving us an interview. Fair Use Act disclaimer. This site is for educational purposes only. Fair use is a doctrine in the United States copyright law that allows limited use of copyrighted material without requiring permission from the rights holders, such as for commentary, criticism, news reporting, research, teaching, and or scholarship. It provides the legal, non-licensed citation or incorporation of copyrighted material in another author's work under a four-factor balancing test. So fair use. So it becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some, present to others, the empirical mastermind, the researcher, the Israelite warrior, scholar, judge in the building. Let's put our hands together and welcome the Prime Minister of the free world, Shwa Lewi.
Shalom. Can I be heard?
King.
I can be heard clearly?
Clearly.
I'm not far away, right?
Clearly. Closely.
Okay.
You're closely.
I'm clearly okay.
Not farly. Closely.
There will be there's no free world without my enemies have gone to court and been judged by me. So until then, until Bane comes, there's no free world. But anyway,
do you feel in charge?
Shalom to you and to everyone that's listening. So this is not so. First of all, that fair use, like, you got another. Thank you. All right.
My bad. I forgot it was still up there. Okay, it was fair use. You got to emphasize shit over here.
It's not even that. It's not even that serious. We got black privilege over here. We got a lot of black privilege over here. We on the Supreme Court and everything. Black woman and black man. So forget what you heard. We have made some progress here. Okay, black privilege. Past 2 years we've had a tremendous amount of black privilege bestowed upon us from I don't even know where, but we got it. I'm just being, a smart ass right now. But we're gonna talk about what?
Not so current events and your reaction to the State of the Union address.
My reaction to
My bad.
that was no State of the Union. Okay, the State of the Union. You run down all the issues, and then you'll tell everyone how you're gonna fix those issues right within your next year, right? It's just better if I just grab my notes because I didn't expect much from it anyway, but it was a horrible mess. It was awful. It was awful. I wanted to do a predictions, um, and I think that I predicted it right. Though there was some things that were a surprise in there. Well, I think like two things out of the million things that Walter was talking about. But substance, no. Um, a lot of misinformation, yeah. No solutions, but a lot of promises to, I don't even know what you call them. It's like, I'm going to do this. But sir, the only reason why you're saying that, first of all, you can't even do anything about it. But the reason why you're saying that is, well, the reason why we know that you're saying it is so confusing. Like I can't even. He started everything. This is all self-inflicted. He did this to himself and to the country. And then trying to pretend as if he didn't do anything. Like it's weird. That's how he conducted himself, as if, the problems are already there and um he's going to do X, Y, and Z to fix it when we know it's unfixable, right? From an economic standpoint, it's unfixable in terms of the economic issues that he did speak upon. Now, C-SPAN said that they took account. Look, I don't. They were being disingenuous with how many times he mentioned certain things, but I'm gonna just say it. I'm gonna just put it out there. Look, it said he mentioned jobs 15 times. I don't think so. Like, um, he said jobs, but it had everything to do with quote unquote clean energy and battery operated cars and solar power and all this other nonsense. I felt like it was all over the place. Like I'm feeling like I'm all over the place right now. But I did try to mark off what the electrical vehicle market will create. I'm sorry, electrical vehicles. I guess factories will produce will make 369,000 jobs or something like that. Like 369,000 jobs. Okay, that's a lot of jobs, but but doing what exactly? Um, Making all these vehicles because everybody's going to have an electric car. I'm just, he left that wide open. I have a lot of
Right.
questions to ask him about that.
Want me to call him? I'll call him.
Somebody need to call him up. He probably sleep right now. Look, he was on his way out the last 15 minutes. He was like, I gotta get the hell out of here. He was turning into a zombie when they was holding him up. I said, why they talking to him like he gonna remember what they said 5 minutes from now? Like it was awful. Um, yeah, something about electrical. I mean, he really pushed. Let me go back. How many times did he mention? Uh, let me see. It says, "Oh damn, maybe they didn't want to deal with that because it was embarrassing. It's not even up here. Like clean energy or energy period, they didn't take that down. But for infrastructure, it said he mentioned it about 5 times. I think he mentioned it about mm, uh, double that, right? And but he didn't
The
mention
word infrastructure or talking about the infrastructure?
talking about infrastructure. He talked about how we used to have the best roads and this and that and the other, but now we don't, and that it's not going to be infrastructure for the year, but infrastructure for the next 10 years. I don't know what that means. I really don't know what that means. If he's referring to Build Back Better, which he didn't mention, I'm glad he didn't because that would have been a, a that would have been what's the word? He would have died and came back had he meant like he can't mention that. Nobody wants to hear anything about a Build Back Better. There's barely any infrastructure in that damn bill in the first place. So of course he didn't mention that. But he's going on. He's talking about getting removing the dependency on foreign oil and all that. Sir, you're the one who did it. You're the one who made us dependent on. Like this is what I'm talking about. Like he's
Right.
talking as if he had nothing to do with all the stuff he's talking about. Right? Like yeah, yeah. He's talking about. Let me. He's all over the place, and I wrote my notes in order. That's why I'm flipping back and forth because the way we talk. Okay, let me just start from the top. How about that? Because I'm going off on a tangent like Walter. He spazzed out a couple times too. Him and Nancy. Nancy was hilarious. And then we ain't gonna talk about Kamala Harris with her big old neck. Look. She allegedly looked like a man. I'm just saying there was no pearls there this time. So I'm like, whoa, that's a thick neck. What the oh snap. Like, okay, but anyway. I guess some women got big necks. I don't know about that, but okay. Um, okay, so he started off with Russia. Donald Trump says Russia, 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 right? For the hoax. Russia, Russia, Russia. So he said, this is the BS. Okay. Usually, don't they say like usually people in the military don't know what's going on because they're doing certain things, but they're not all connected or blah blah blah. That's BS. We have social media now. We all have cell phones, um, smartphones, tablets, especially in the military. We got all that stuff, right? And people talking, there's the news, and you're all over the world and everything. So you basically do know what's going on. He says, and they've been spewing this whole Russia is going to fail thing. They're very on message if you listen to the news. Everybody's on message, okay? When they say Russia is miscalculated, that word I've heard so many times in the past 2 weeks. It's not even funny. Um, no, the past week. The past week. Have you noticed they've been using the word miscalculate? He
Yeah.
miscalculated. Like
Yep.
that's like they all got the memo. Okay.
That
And
language is
we're gonna
important.
use that. We're gonna use that, okay, to make Russia look this small.
Right. And everybody who has some kind of lead influence in regards to that, use that verbiage right there. Miscalculated.
Right. Everybody's using the same word.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. When the memo goes out, notice that there's some buzzwords, some words they have to use. Okay, so they're trying to minimize Russia, right? Look, I don't care about any of that. I'm like really unbiased about this. I like facts though. The second thing he said was that Russia was unprovoked. Um, I mean, obviously there's two sides to a story, three, sometimes four, right? So from what I've been hearing, the whole thing since 2014, when the Ukraine, I guess, became a democratic society. Look, there's no democracy, but anyway, that's what they call it. They've been unprovoked, but they weren't. From what I've seen, and Putin has been saying it over and over again, that they don't listen to us. They undermine us. They don't want to have any discussions. Whatever we say, it doesn't matter. They run the world, and we're tired of it. That's essentially what he's saying. Now, nobody is talking about what the response to that should be, or I haven't heard a response, an American response to that. That so-called diplomacy they're talking about. I haven't heard it yet. Like, I mean, this guy is saying this. He says it over and over again. His foreign policy minister says it too, right? The what do you call it? The Russian ambassador, right? He said, well, he's saying it. Is it a she or a he? I can't remember. It was a woman somewhere, and I saw it today. But anyway, whatever. They're all on code too. They're basically saying the same thing as well, right?
The Russian ambassador or the Ukraine one?
I'm sorry. It was the Belarusian um,
Oh,
ambassador, because apparently today in American news, I didn't check Russian news or whatever they're saying, or international news, but they're saying that Condoleezza Rice made mention to that Belarus is a puppet for Russia, right? And then doing their bidding or whatever. So today, and that was Sunday, and then today they're going to be the grounds for they're going to be housing the Russia's nuclear weapons in Belarus, right? But they actually pulled her out of somewhere, because we haven't seen Condoleezza Rice in a long time, but like for the past couple months she's been out there. It's as if it's scripted, but I'm gonna leave that alone. She says that Belarus is a puppet, and she said, but if you know Belarus, they're allied with Russia, and it always has been, right? They always have been. They aren't Russia, but they are Russia. That's what Belarus is. Belarus and Russia is Rus, right? So
right.
same country, same people. In the Ukraine, it said in 2001, I saw a population by, I guess by what do you call it? By ethnicity, and the majority back then was Ukrainians. Okay, which are who? Russians, right? Now, listen. Somebody said in the comment board, okay, you Americans saying that it's okay if Russia goes ahead and takes Ukraine back because it's Russia anyway. They said, well, what about America? Are you all prepared to give the country back to the Native Americans? I said, oh, snap. I said, you know what? Yeah, I think so. Because if it's stolen, or if it was taken from you, you should take it back, right? Or give it back, or,
Yep.
I don't have any problems with that. But that was something that they said. So they don't like that. That's one of the things Americans don't like, is that when people say that Ukraine is Russia, which it is, okay, um, that they shouldn't take it back. Now, Ukraine can't hold its own borders. Whose fault is that, really? It Joe Biden says here that he said U.S. will protect every inch of NATO nations. So we got Ukraine wanting to become a part of NATO, right? I don't think they want to, but there was something that came up earlier about 3 hours ago where Zelensky, he's the he's the leader of Ukraine, and he's over here telling NATO to prove that they're their friends. We need military help over here. So if you're really our friends, you really support us and want to protect us, you know, bring the troops in, bring everybody in, bring your military in, because we're having a hard time here. Where at the same time, 3 hours later, you have Walter over here saying that he says Putin is more alone now than ever. Um, that those sanctions that he put on him will weaken his
Isolated.
military in years to come. That's what he said. Yeah, that's what he's saying. Like he's
Yeah, he
only
said
recently
alone and he said isolated.
right, and then he moves on to saying that the U.S. is going to seize all their ish. Like he's not only Putin's, but He's saying he's going to go after Russian oligarchs. I'm not sure what that has to do. He said he's going to take their yachts and all. I said, what is he? What is he talking about?
Yeah, he said ill-gotten gains. He used
Yeah,
that.
like what is we're going to invade Russia? Is that what's going to? Or he's talking about that what do you say? By seizing their assets, he not only bank sanctions, like economic sanctions, he's talking about their assets, taking their ish from them.
Right.
Which we don't believe Walter's going to do that, but that's what he said. So I was like, wait, that came out of left field. Okay,
He said backseas.
yeah,
No,
like I don't
he
even
ain't say backseas, but that's the term. Remember back in the day they'd be like no backseas.
listen. I'm like, is he going off on a? What is he talking about? And then he said that the U.S. will help with military, humanitarian, and economic help. Like I'm like, but where though? Because there's the only troops I know about is what they put out in the news: 3,000 in Poland and a little bit less over there in Romania. But there are no boots. He said he wasn't going to send any U.S. troops into Ukraine. This is what he said. But he wants you to believe that Russia's having a hard time taking the country.
I saw a Molotov cocktail drive-by today. Okay, some video on Instagram. They showed these Ukrainians. Right, I got my fingers up. I don't know. Ride by some tank and throw a Molotov cocktail at it. Okay, so evidently there's some thug life going on out there
Yeah,
in the
but what is that
Ukraine.
really doing?
And they doing shit, but
That's what I'm saying. They out there making Molotov cocktails and stuff. But what is that doing?
against the tank, like you got close enough to this tank in your regular car, you threw this Molotov cocktail and drove away.
And what I want to know is where are they finding all of these English speaking Ukrainians to put on TV? I'm just wondering. Okay, because you don't learn English unless you've got some money in the Ukraine. Okay, there's no English taught there. It's just Ukrainian. Anyway, um, and that's a fact. I'm just gonna put that out there.
They pulling drive-bys out here.
Right,
Okay.
like I don't even understand that they're making Molotov cocktails. They're fighting. They got, we're arming the citizens. Well, hey, what about this damn country? Can we
Right.
arm ourselves without any registration papers, any license papers? Look, shout out to all the states who passed that constitutional carry. Okay, shout
Damn
out.
right.
All
If
right,
you
we don't need you federal government to tell us anything. We're gonna get our own. We don't need no license, no paperwork.
This is the stuff that looks crazy. As a tactician, you don't go from no violence to this. You see what I'm saying? Like you don't go from we don't have any arms to riding up on tanks with Molotov cocktails. It don't add up. It doesn't go that way. You see what I'm saying? Like the escalation of force that's there. You don't go from that's so shit like that just I'm not even going to use red flag. These are just indicators on manipulation. You don't go from somebody who can't fight to like a massacre, like a mass shootout. Like you see what I'm saying? It don't work like that. Indiscriminate to where the circumstances might be. If you're scared, you're more afraid. You don't become less afraid.
Yeah, but they saying Putin is miscalculated. He didn't know what to expect from Ukraine.
But
Ukraine used to be in the never mind. Anyway, they're talking to dumb people. They're not talking to me. So Walter commences to say, "We stand with the Ukrainians." What does that mean? Stand. We stand with the. We on the sidelines in Germany, cheering them on. We all we're cheering them on. That's what we're doing. Okay,
you
that's
remember
what I.
Denzel in Training Day was watching that white boy get his ass beat by them crackheads, right? He had his arms folded. He's smoking a cigarette. He watching them get down. Yeah, I just don't. The connection don't make sense.
And the last thing Walter said about that was he spent a long time on Russia too. He said he's gonna be taking robust action on Russia. I don't know what that means. He didn't explain it. We don't know what that. We have no clue.
It was
I'm not gonna.
clapping. There was too much clapping going on.
I mean, he was speaking as if we were going to war. I mean, that's what it sounded like to me. It sounded like United States is going to war. By the way, he's talking from the time he started talking about Russia to the end of that. That's what I got out of it. Now, whether he does it or not, I don't know. But that it sounded like. I mean, what's robust action?
What does Oxford
The biggest.
describe robust?
Yeah. Look, I'm not near a computer like that to look up the word, but I mean, you know what
I'll look it up in the
robust
background.
mean. Robust is not a soft word. You know what I'm saying? It's not a.
Right.
It's like extreme. Okay, huge, large. Actions. I don't know what he's talking about. The what what the backlash she's getting is that he put sanctions, economic sanctions on Russia, but waived those sanctions on the oil, on the natural gas. On the oil and the natural gas, that pipeline, that one pipeline that's been supplying um, energy to East Europe and to the United States. Hello. Not only, not only do we buy from them, we buy from OPEC. So, and as you can see, once Russia invaded, and then once the sanctions went on, you saw the gas prices go up about 20 cents. It says it's going to go up 4%. I believe it's going to be higher than that. It's gone up by 20, 20 to 25 cents, right? And it's going to keep going. It's going to keep rising, and it has for the past few days. So, I mean, for all y'all who love paying a lot for gas, hooray. So, anyway, because that's what black people worry about is gas money. Whereas
That's it. Look, you got gas money? Okay, that's the conversation. No matter what the gas price is. Okay,
that's right.
that is
And
it.
I'm pissed every time I go to. I'm like, you going back there again? Oh my god! Like, anyway. So what he said was, after he said that he was going to take robust action, he said something about he made a deal with 30 countries. Like, really, 30 countries. Um, to I guess to give us 60 million barrels of oil. Now, when he said that, I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "Didn't he just he took from the emergency reserves, right?" And they was criticizing him because it will only it's only enough oil for 3 days, you know, in America, right? So yeah, so as it was going on, there was some commentary where the commentator said that's not a lot of oil. It might sound like a lot, but it's not. He said it's about 20.6 million um, gallons of oil in one day. That's how much we consume. About 20.6 million gallons a day. So he's got 60 million. That's less than a little less than 3 days. Joe Biden is a joke. But I mean, just for people who are not aware of this, it might sound like a whole lot. So he says 30 countries. Are you only able to get 60 million barrels? Really? So that right there was
They clapped for that too. Didn't they clap?
yeah, they did clap for that. And
There's a lot of clapping going on today.
yeah, it was a lot of clapping
A lot of
going on.
clapping.
So that was a fail.
You think they had that applause button, like applause, like they was
Yeah, I mean they kept getting up.
flashing
It
it?
was like they were overdoing it. They were overdoing it.
Standing ovation for everything.
They were overdoing it. Like whatever. We all know. We all know what's going down.
He was like freedom, and it was like, yeah.
Freedom. We've been locked down for how long? And he's telling us what we have to do, put into our veins and put a mask on and all this other crap and mandates. Please, no
He
freedom.
said he was the first president to cut the deficit by $1 trillion in 1 year. That's what he said. That's what he said. I heard him when he said it.
That was a straight up lie.
Yeah, he
What's
said
with
that.
the deficit is about 60 trillion. He added on about 20 trillion to that.
And he said that. What did he say? He said he cut the COVID deaths too. Okay, on top of that, okay, he said he cut the COVID deaths by 50%. And he said he was going to get rid of cancer as we know it. Didn't he say that?
Say that again. What did he say?
He said we was going to get rid of cancer as we know it. He said cancer as we know it. Okay.
That was another fail. Okay. I don't
And
even know where that
he
came
said
from.
diabetes a couple of times too. He had a 7th grade advocate against diabetes up there. Yeah. Yeah.
And he had a big dude up there. Looked like he had diabetes up there. He was a trainer at a steel mill or something. I don't know.
Right.
Named JoJo. It said in quote.
Yeah, right.
His name was quote unquote.
Right.
On
Why
the screen.
why
It
would they
said,
have him
quote, unquote,
stand?
JoJo.
Right. Why would they have him stand up and do that? Looking like Tyler Perry. Looking like Tyler Scary up there.
That whole thing, that robust action is going to leave Russia weaker. And then it goes into democracy and how they're a democracy. And
You have black people looking
that's
crazy.
Ukraine. There's no
as hell
democracy in Ukraine, huh?
the whole time. He had black people looking crazy as hell in there the whole time.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
That fat ass dude. Then the girls over there with the. It was just weird. But it was to be expected. You ain't even in the conversation. So for all of you black people, you ain't even in the conversation. Okay? You're not in the conversation. You're not included. You never were included. He said ain't for you. I think he said ain't for you. He included JoJo and he said the word ain't.
The man was named quote unquote JoJo. That was weird. He looked like Joe from a Medea movie. He did.
Right.
It was weird.
The spitting image.
The whole costume and everything. Yeah.
And he couldn't even stand up.
Yeah, he had to pull himself up.
Yeah, he had to pull himself up by the fat straps to get up.
And then they was social distancing in that place. That was awful. Anyway.
They had to make it look like it was more people up in there. Wasn't nobody up in there.
Nobody was in there.
Yeah, nobody was in there. You see when he walked in, it was all of them chairs and shit. Like they couldn't even theater that. They got some of the greatest cameramen on the planet, and they couldn't even theater that to make it look like it had a bunch of people in there. That's you saw they was panning, and then they went from panning to direct shots on people because
Well,
there
they
wasn't
was
nobody in it.
right because they were socially distancing. That's why everybody didn't show up.
So imagine if they were all together. That's what that shit looked like if they were social distancing. So imagine if they
Well,
was all together.
they wouldn't be all together because a lot of people don't like that contact thing, and they want to wear their mask. So the people who don't wear their mask, they didn't show up. There was an option you can come or not. A lot of people didn't show up, but
They had 3 people in there with that mask on.
and they were all Democrats. Let's see it. So he talked about he gets into a little economics here, something, and he calls all of this. He calls all this. Families living paycheck to paycheck. He says not he can't relate, so he had to go all the way back 80 years ago to his father in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Had to leave Scranton to go find. I'm like, come on, like he has no clue. Then he said he got two legislation uh, he's going to set up. One is the American Rescue Plan. That one, man, all Democrats was up for that one. He said more jobs will be produced, and and he's increased jobs, blah blah blah. But that came from the fact that people were being laid off, fired due to this pandemic stuff. So if you add a lot of those jobs back, doesn't mean you created new jobs, does it?
Nope.
Right. So that confused me for a bit. Then he goes into infrastructure. That's where he goes,
You,
and he talks
they
about
do that with crime stats the same way. When
yeah,
they want
yeah.
they trim it and then they add it. They trim it and then they add it. They do that. Oh, crime is down. Oh, crime is up. So they they go back and forth with that. Same thing with the labor market, with the job market.
And a lot of those jobs are gone anyway. Um, I don't know what he's talking about. And then he goes into infrastructure, and then he says something about building more charging stations for your battery car. I was like, what? Like, I don't. That was weird. And then he went into those damn lead pipes again. Like, oh my god. So we're gonna get rid of all the lead pipes and stuff, for like the bad water and stuff, and the bad air, and clean energy, but more charging stations. Okay, that's gonna help America. Um, then he started talking about Made in America. I just totally fell asleep on that one because that didn't even make any sense. Like, what are you talking about? Something about the America Competes Act. So you have the American Rescue Plan, and you have this America Competes Act, which, if I go look at that on Congress.gov, it's probably nothing in it. Okay, worthwhile. But I'm not gonna even waste my time. So that's two. That's two of the ones he's pushing. Okay. Um. Then he went into something called the Field of Dreams. I think he started daydreaming at that point. I don't know what that means. Something about 20 billion Intel. So he had the Intel guy there, right? He's going to build $20 billion semiconductor, which is going to create 10,000 new jobs. Okay. And he said, so he's a huge supporter of Silicon Valley, if you know what that is, where all the tech giants are located, California. Um, but we must remember that the person who deals with electric vehicles, that Elon Musk, the devil, um, moved out of California, went to Texas, right? He took his whole company to Texas because he doesn't want to be bombarded by taxes and and those policies set forth by Democrats, right? So he left, and that's where Biden claimed that uh, through these electric vehicles that it'll create 369,000 jobs. And then he talks about inflation. Um, it's going to be a priority for him to make things better. Some I don't know who came up with this one, but he said so. I guess this would be the answer to inflation, the inflation he caused. Um, Lower costs, not wages, and everybody cheered. And I think everybody stood up too at that time. They stood up and they cheered.
Yep.
That was dumb. And then he went back to make it in America instead of relying on foreigners. Talk about hypocrisy. Like he's come on. So in order okay, so he moves on to the deficit. So I guess in order to lower the deficit, you have to cut the cost of prescription drugs. Now I remember on day one when he became the president, right? Illegally, allegedly. Well, I'm not going to say it was illegal. Anyway, um, he made an executive order to cut that off because Donald Trump, that was one of the last executive orders he put through, was to cut, you know, uh, prescription drugs, the costs. This fool came to turn it off. So I don't know what that was about, but he mentions it here in his address. Cut the cost of prescription drugs. And that's when he gets into that insulin nonsense with the little boy and everything like that. Talking about cutting the cost of, he's paid these pharmaceutical companies our tax, all the money we pay for taxes. Okay, he's giving it to those companies, and I mean he's constantly doing it because they also mentioned that he doesn't know if there's going to be any other variants, but they're going to have some COVID pills that you can take.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so get ready, y'all. COVID pills. Um, yeah, he says here, and also something about veterans and the veterans drugs. I don't know what he said. Something I don't know. Then he says something about weatherizing your home. You get a tax reduction for that. What does that have to do with lowering the deficit? And I don't even know what that means. And then cut the cost of child care. It says. And then it says, he says, cut the cost of child care, but then give incentives to child caregivers. How does that work? So the mom pays less, but then the government takes all the money she's working for, that extra money, and you're going to tax her more so you can get the money to give to the child caregiver anyway? Like, I don't. Anyway. And he mentioned something about women who left work during the pandemic to care for their children. Nobody left nowhere. A lot of people laid off, fired, and had totally just shut down because of the policies that were put in place due to the pandemic, right? Everything closed down. You can't go nowhere. You got to isolate and all this other crap, forcing people out of their jobs and their livelihoods. And he said that people who make under $400,000 a year will not see their taxes go up. So if you make $400,000 or more, you will pay the same amount in taxes a billionaire pays.
Your fair share.
Yeah, and that's your fair share.
Mm.
So I mean, I don't understand how that's an incentive for a small business.
Right.
And I don't see it. I don't see it. You already got to pay capital gains taxes. I mean, then you got to pay. I can't. I can't. Um,
And they were clapping the whole time.
yeah, they were clapping the whole time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so making the richest and wealthiest Americans pay their fair share because they pay no taxes, which is incorrect. Like they're being disingenuous explaining um, uh, how these shares work because the the terminology that he's using Okay, you think of corporations, the stock markets, and things like that, right? The market, they're not paying their fair share. So, how does a person who owns shares, billions of dollars in shares, how do they pay taxes? They don't until they what? Sell them, right? So I don't understand. What, look, Walter doesn't understand either. He's just reading Walter. Anyway, um, he claims that his watchdogs are back. Now, this is what surprised me because all of you fools and all you Negroes who thought you was getting away with that PPP loans, okay, that
He
was
had
meant
some
for
news
small
for your ass.
businesses,
That's the only time he was coherent the whole goddamn night. He said he got something for your ass. Okay.
right? So everybody, like my peoples, was telling me, no, no, no. They said they can't. They're not dealing with it. It's over. They're not going to ask for that money back. Everybody's clear. They're throwing that stuff out. Look, Joe.
The
Look, Joe done told you. He said the watchdogs are back. He said he
watchdogs are
called
back.
it stolen money meant for
Yes.
small businesses. He said,
Yes.
and he said he has put in place a chief prosecutor. This person is called a chief prosecutor for pandemic fraud.
Right.
All right. So look. You may
It,
not
it might
get
have been JJ that was up in the damn
JoJo.
oh,
You
JoJo.
you
Yeah.
you look.
Tyler Scary.
You may not get caught today, but you're gonna get caught. I'm just saying,
Joe
like it's
and Joe
coming.
and Uncle Joe gonna catch your ass. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's, he got 3 more years to catch everybody, and they already done it in California. You know, they done went after all kinds of people in California. But yeah, y'all keep playing with this evil ass government if you want to. Um, he said something, and also because that's how he's going to get the money back. So this is still a part of his solutions for cutting the deficit. Okay, that's one of them. Cut the cost of nursing home care. I don't know where that came from, but okay, all right, Walter.
And that's where he live at.
Minimum, huh?
And that's where he live at.
Yeah, he definitely has some sort of nurse, some sort of entourage back at home in Delaware. He said the minimum wage you're going to push for it to be $15 an hour. We know that failed in the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
We know that failed in the Senate. Uh, and that was due to two Democrats that helped the GOP do that. He said that you raise the minimum wage to $15, you'll have no poverty. Now let that sink in. That reminds me of the time when the disaster said uh, his big bro, the one that was sitting behind him on the left, his big bro with the thick neck.
The one right
Um,
here in this picture.
yeah, the one with the thick neck right there. It reminds me of the time when that disaster said that the child tax credit is going to help. It's going to eliminate child. What is it? Urban urban child poverty. That's what she said.
Mm.
I said what? And people who heard it was like, "That's a lie." I was like, "She's just reading from it. She doesn't know what she's reading." They claim she was a lawyer. Look, anyway, they claim she went to school. Well, she went to Howard. Okay, I don't know
Right.
what they're teaching at Howard. All right, this
That they're
isn't that
teaching that.
HBCU? It's
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know what they're teaching over there, but
They don't
she's
need
slow. She's slow. So, moving on from that lie.
Chuck
Um,
Taylors and pearls. Okay.
yeah. Look. I don't know whether to call it a he or she. Wasn't wearing no pearls
It.
tonight, and that neck. Because I did see something on YouTube where they said how they tried to hide the male body from being shown as a male body, like ways that males can look like a female, right? By doing different things with their wardrobe and stuff. One of them things was like wearing a necklace to make the neck appear thinner, not so wide. She didn't have any pearls on tonight. So I'm looking at her neck like, dude, I'm calling Walter's big bro from now on. He goes into the CDC mask guidelines and that they said that the pandemic no longer controls their lives, blah blah blah, but they still forcing on children in a lot of these states, which is crazy. I don't. They know it's unpopular, and it's basically like for power. Like for instance, that silly mayor of New York City is not going to give Kyrie Irving a pass. Would he think he his daddy or somebody? Like people who come into New York to play them, play his team, they don't have to be vaccinated or anything. So what sense does that make? Why does Kyrie have to be vaccinated? Right? Like it doesn't make sense. So I attribute it to them wanting power. You know, they want to control. They want power and control over people. That's just the bottom line. Um, so of course he had to promote the vaccine again and mention even children under 5. That's crazy. Because even the CDC was like, no, we're not doing it. Children under 5. That's crazy. We're not doing that right now. And I think the FDA didn't approve it either. And that's what I was talking about, those pills, the antiviral pills. And you could buy a test. You could order those tests. They created hundreds of millions of tests, right? Like, where are these tests made at? I wish they made in China. But you can order from the government website, and they'll send you these COVID tests you could take in the privacy of your own home. And somebody said that asymptomatic people test themselves make no sense. Like people go to the doctor to when they're sick, not to be told that they're sick, right? I can't hear you.
I said right, exactly.
Okay. So that makes no sense to me. So we talked about the variants, blah blah blah, and then he goes and says kids need to be in school. Finally, sir, after all of the abuse that was going on, the starvation, the suicides, the depression, all that nonsense. Oh, and the lack of education. These kids are so behind. The children that depend on the public school system are totally behind, and they all will be passed. Okay, so I'm not sure what the future may bring. With that, he goes into, and I just kind of like drifted off when he got to this. I was like, okay, this is not going so well. I'm tired of listening to this crap. But he mentioned something about body cams, which has already been instituted. So I'm not sure how that's groundbreaking, and how he's requiring them or going to put them in when they're already installed. They're already working. What is he talking about?
Yes. He's requiring.
And something about no knock warrants. Stop it. The federal government, FBI use that. I mean, that is not something that they will, because that would be on a federal level. That is not something they're going to get rid of. Stop it. Now, on the state level, local level, they do what they want. They make their own rules and everything. But for him to like mislead people with that, I just think it's just, it was full of lies and fakery. It was just nonsense. He did say, I will never defund the police. He said that. Of course not. That's lock 'em up Joe. Okay, that's crime bill Joe. Of course not. A leopard doesn't change his spots. Then he said something about terrorists. They should not be able to purchase firearms. I said, oh, they were just trying to label parents as terrorists not too long ago. Did they not? Parents that were fighting that nonsense, the CRT in the schools, and
Right.
and all the government taking over their kids, telling their kids, putting the mask on their kids, and just overstepping, trying to take the role of a parent. Even the union, the ladies in charge of the teachers union, said that it's better for the government to teach your children than parents. Like, really? So they're labeled down as terrorists. So whoever the government labels as a terrorist, you just can't own a gun. But like I said, shout out to those states that have constitutional carry. We don't care what the federal government says. And then he went on to say, and this really upset me because he only spent like 2 seconds. It literally just said, "We're going to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and let it go." And when he just kept it moving,
Right.
because I already broke that down already. But then he mentioned that Black Supreme Court Justice lady. That was all of 2 seconds.
Yeah, I think that was shorter than that.
Then the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Yeah, because
Yeah.
look, he's not feeling none of that. He's not feeling none of that, but he got to do, they have to look like they're the party of inclusion when they're the party of the KKK. Just saying. Um, and the party of the lynch mob. Then he goes into immigration saying that instead of building the wall, I say build a goddamn wall. Let me tell you something. The United States of America is helping Lebanon build a wall to keep those, so-called, they call them terrorists and all those undesirables out of their country. Why can't we finish our wall so we can keep all the undesirables out of our country? How about that? But no, no. We help other countries build walls. We don't build walls here. We don't protect our own borders, but we help other countries protect their borders. So he said they got new scanners. They got new scanners that'll help illegals get into court quicker. It can be fast tracked to a judge. Can you believe that?
Yep.
What about all the homies on like some really ridiculous charges sitting in the county for months waiting for judges waiting for their case to go to court?
For years.
You know what I'm saying? What about them? But I digress. And so it creates a pathway to citizenship for them. So you illegally cross borders, you're breaking the law, you're a criminal. Okay, that makes you a criminal. And we're going to help you become a citizen after you breached your border and committed a crime that you don't go to jail for. We just let you go and hope you come back to court when we send you a court date.
Yeah.
Oh, where they do that at? We just don't get away with stuff like that. Let us not come to court. All kinds of warrants, like, anyway. And all of those people are tracked, okay? All of those people are tracked when they come in and they get caught. Their fingerprints are taken. That's how you identify people, by fingerprints, not by name, not by paperwork. If you didn't know, it's by fingerprints. They know who's in this country and who's not. Okay. And what else? Let's see. Oh, oh God, he mentioned the alphabet soup people. He said that he's got their backs and they can be themselves, be their best selves, and blah blah blah. I don't know what that means. Or be the people they, or oh no, he mentioned God in that. They could be whoever God made them to be. I don't know, some nonsense he said. And then instead of mentioning Black Americans, he mentioned Asian Americans and the protection thereof. He mentioned that. Then he mentioned the opioid problem, when we know that those the four big uh, um, the four big pharmaceutical companies, including Pfizer, are the ones responsible for the opioid crisis. Okay, all right. So I'll leave it at that. Um, you said that it'll help with, I guess, with trafficking, reducing trafficking of drugs and addiction and stuff like that. Then it mentioned um, the lady who testified against Facebook about how algorithms are causing children to commit suicide and stuff like that. A lot of people don't believe that, but it is a real thing, right? Algorithm, um, things that you see can affect the mind. And, I thought they killed her off. I don't know. She was that whistleblower, but maybe that's her double.
Right.
And then something about protecting the veterans or something like that, and everybody stood up and cheered for that. That's a joke. They trying to pass those red flag laws on us. I reject that. Then he goes to talk about veterans in Iraq and being located near burn pits, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What about all of those military people that you left in Afghanistan? So we're only so you're gonna help the veterans that got non what do you call it, non-breathing cancer issues. Is that how you said it? Something like that. But we're gonna leave it all over. We're gonna just leave our
That's something that
military
just
and all that
came out
crap in Afghanistan, huh?
today in the VA. They just sent some stuff out about that. So that was
Yeah.
a highlight. So he probably added that in. Yeah.
Um, and then that's when he brought up he gonna end cancer as we know it. I
We
said,
know it.
what? I was done at that point. I stopped making notes. I said, you know what? That's the end of that nonsense. And I think that was the end of it all.
Yes.
I mean, he didn't touch anything. He didn't touch nothing. And everything he spoke upon, he caused those issues.
Did he
He's speaking
cause
as if the issues were there
did
and
he
that he's
cause
going to
Nancy
solve them.
Pelosi to stand up like she did when
Oh my
her
God, she
fingers
was drunk.
curled in and she was shaking and
She always
gyrating?
drunk.
Did he cause her to
Look, she needs to go bye bye.
she got up looking like Paul Bearer.
Yep, she's gonna run again, and because I don't know why she's running again. It's a wrap for them Democrats. They so dumb. All of them are just dumb. When you bring people into your country that are not citizens, you're hurting your own citizens. So for all those black people out there, I think it's a great idea to have all these illegals, especially the ones that be killing you, like the Mexicans. Um, and yeah, I have proof of that. I have articles. I have all kinds of stuff about that. Those illegals coming into the country and causing havoc in the black community. Yes, yes. Um, and what it does is it not only physically hurts you, it's economics too. The more of them in this country, the more you have to work harder and pay. Takes away from your children, takes away from your progress. Everybody knows this. This is why I got annoyed today about the fake stuff that's going on about the Africans in the Ukraine. And I knew that was going to be taken out of context, and it was just I just knew it because I had already commented on it. Um, the word on the street is that um, they're they're discriminating against Africans in the Ukraine, and they're being racist. They're trying to get out of the country into other countries, trying to go into other countries, and they're being rejected. Now, from the video I saw, there was a whole lot of white folks out there with them who weren't Russian, trying to rush the train. It was only Africans trying to rush the train or whatever. And what they were doing is that these countries, they're only taking in their own people. So if you're at the border of, if you made it to the border of Poland, they're not letting you in because you're a non-citizen. Um, Romania would be the same way. Any of those Balkan countries, they call them Baltic. I don't know. They're Balkans. Okay, they're all Balkans. They're not letting in people, and why aren't they doing that? Because they don't have the resources to take in masses amount of people who did not contribute to their society, who are not citizens, who are not, they just won't do that. Now, a brother did come out today, and he did the work. He broke it down. He said those Africans over there are in a bad space because they don't have anybody from their home country checking for them. And what he means by that is that, he used two African countries as the example, Nigeria and Zimbabwe. He said those African students over there go to school in Ukraine. I don't know why anybody would want to go to school in Ukraine, but I digress. So, so he's saying those countries did not do their due diligence in getting their people out of the country. They said that Zimbabwe doesn't even have an embassy in the Ukraine, in which they don't, right? So there's nowhere they can go to, to get reinforcements or whatever, to get, to get to safety, or there's no plan. Now, he said that North African countries evacuated their people 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Same for the Chinese, same for all of those Balkan countries. This is what they did. They started moving their people out 2 weeks ago. So we have a whole host of, people there who have nowhere to go. So guess what? They have to stay in Ukraine. There's nowhere for them to go. So it's not just Africans, it's all other people too who don't have people checking for them. And that's horrible. It's a horrible thing to have to, go through. But I mean, the misinformation, instead of trying to find out what the issue is with these Africans, they're putting it on saying that, oh, they're being racist. What? Listen, if I had a country, I'm not just letting anybody come into my country. If you're not a citizen, you're not one of my people, you're not just coming in. You're going to have to come in the right way if I am letting you in. And that's what any other country on this earth, except for the United States of America, right? At this point in time, right? Because there's a lot of issues with that. Economic, safety, all kinds of things. You don't know these people, where they came from. So
Why are you
for
in them goddamn shitholes in the first place?
right, they're all hellholes. They're all.
That's
But
the fucking ash can, shit can of the world right there.
right, and their country should not even have let them go. But this is what happens. This is why you have Africans stuck in China. This is the same reason why you have Africans stuck in Kuwait. This is why you have them stuck in Iraq. You have them stuck all over the place.
Right.
They don't have a home country that will pose a threat upon them, so they will take you as a slave. Those people will become slaves. People say, "Oh, well, slavery don't." Oh, yeah, it does. It exists today. It does. And as soon as Russia takes over Ukraine, where do you think those Africans going? Just I'll wait.
It exists right here.
Yep, I'll wait.
Inside of these fucking borders, right here.
What? We still trying to find those Iraqis in Poland. Okay, we're trying to find them. Okay, the ones that was trying to get into Belarus, right? Where they go? They just disappeared off the face of the earth. Where they go? Look, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, where they go? We live in a fantasy world here, especially if you've never been anywhere. Oh, I've been to Italy and I went on vacation. Well, try sitting where I sat and watch. And I know people who travel deep down inside know that these other countries outside the United States is not safe. The United States is not safe, but outside where you don't know, they have an inkling. They'll stay in in a tourist area. They know not to go out because that's the rule. Don't leave, whatever. They know, but to what extent do they know? They really don't know. But you have to be worried about who you're letting into your country. Like I use Lebanon. Lebanon has a whole wall now to keep all the undesirables out. Okay.
Just read some security briefs of an area you're thinking about going to travel and see what's really going the fuck on over there.
So I just don't like how black people be lying to black people. That's all. That was my whole, for me even bringing that up. That's the issue. We have to start caring about each other and our whereabouts. That's what I'm saying.
And stop falling for the damn sensationalism just because you seen somebody put it on whoever it is. You don't give a fuck about who they really are. Understand what motives are and how things are used for you to be manipulated. My bad. Go ahead.
No, you said it right. They over here trying to make it seem, oh, and then you have these Africans speaking in English to the Polish. Like, I'm like, um, that's weird. But I'm gonna leave that alone. That's just odd to me. They're all speaking the English, and there's no English speaking in any Poland. So I bet you they were like, what are they saying? You don't let me in because I'm black. That's what he said. I said, oh shit. And I said, this is crazy. I said, why they doing this? They know daggone well it's because they're not citizens. The word on the street was, get your people out. I remember when the Russians in Belarus, no, the Russians in Ukraine and the pro-Russia separatists evacuated, went into Russia. I remember when the Polish got out. I remember they saying that it's time for you to evacuate. I remember when our government told Americans over there, it's time for you to evacuate, into Germany, go to Germany, right? That was like, I don't know, a week and a half ago, or so. Was it 2 weeks ago? About around the same time as everybody else. But these particular groups of people, and it's a lot of groups of people from all over the world, they're just stuck there. How do you think? I don't understand how people feel like they could just go into anybody's country and just hold up there however long they want with no questions asked. Where they do that at? That's like coming into somebody's house that you don't know, and you just up in there. That doesn't make sense.
And all of that shit is fine until some shit pop off, and then when the shit pop off, you expecting somebody to extend you some kind of fucking courtesy, like,
right?
Man, like, look, like this thing earlier. When you leave outside the U.S. and they take in people, you taking people's shit too.
Yeah.
Like the worst people you think. Most of the time, I won't say all of the time. I would say out of 100%, I would say 95% of the time, you get the shit. And 5% of the time, you get some people they may want to be productive where you at. You're going to get 95% of the shit. The 95% of the shit of Europe is what the fuck came to America.
Yes. Yes.
So even in this own history, even in this place right here, we ain't got to go no place. The people that came, I don't even, people is a stretch. The ones that came on the ships from the same fucking place that we talking about right now, from Europe, they gave them everybody, that was a place to offload their shit. Who came here from South and Central America? A place to offload their shit. What do you like? You gotta understand that shit. Like, we really be getting real way out of the way with that. Like, the people will give you their shit. They will offload their shit, aka their people, off to you. And what are they gonna do? They're gonna destroy your shit. They're gonna tear your shit up.
That's right. Well,
they're gonna tear your shit up. That's what they do, because that's a regular concept where they are. So they got no regard for your shit. Why would they care about your shit? So you're going to bring them into your place. They're going to tear it up. And then what are you going to do? You look at the Caribbean and all that shit. Cats came over here. They do whatever they do. What they do? They send them back to the Caribbean. They do enough shit, and then they send them back to the Caribbean. So they lock them up a couple of times and like, nah, fuck it. You got to go back to where you're from. So that's who comes to these places. If you doing like you supposed to do or whatever the hell that shit is, you going to stay where you at. You ain't got no time for this.
Most people don't leave their homeland.
Right. Why would you give up a guarantee? They be talking about a better life and better opportunity.
Yeah, but that's only the minority. That's a handful of those
traders. They sell you that shit.
Yeah.
They sell you that shit on, like, most of. Do we remember how people get over here most of the time? The lottery? Do we gotta go through that shit?
Yep, you gotta go to the lottery. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't even know. Like people just think like people just show up. Like yeah, all right, blah blah blah. Like nah, it's out of the lottery in most of the cases, the military in the other cases,
Well, now
and
you can
then
just roll on in now if you can,
and then right, military action, military action. So they not even looking at this shit in these categories. You gotta luck up and win a lottery. You join the U.S. military, one of the branches. Oh, you marry. Oh, I gotta leave that. I gotta put that one in there because that's another fucking thing right there. You marry, right? And then the result of military action, what they call evacuees, refugees, shit like that. And look at the track record.
running from persecution. I'm like, what persecution? Like, most people stay in their country. Like,
Right.
what persecution? And where are these bodies at in the Ukraine? Look, I'm not doubting that there are any bodies, but show some bodies. Y'all showing everything on TV. Y'all showing Ukrainians speaking English. I'm seeing, look, they showing the hellhole on TV. I said, look at that graffiti. I said, that graffiti on the
Ukraine,
side.
right,
Is that a
right.
project? Because I watch a lot of that stuff on YouTube. I look at their projects. I said, dang, our project's better than that. What the? They can't talk about us. See, once you start learning,
How
like
was they
they,
in that car doing the drive by with come on, that was bugged out. That was just bugged out.
that's called propaganda,
Right.
props. Um, but yeah, I look, this one lady in Russia, she's showing where she live at. She's in a straight up project. She said, no, he said, here's the elevator. It's a death trap. I pray every time I use it. That's what he said. I pray every time I over there in Russia. And I mean, it's just a hellhole. I'm like, is that pee in the? Yeah, look, look. These Europeans came over here, built projects, put us in these boxes, cement boxes. That's what they came. That's where they came from.
Where it came from.
That's where they came from. That's what they know. So you can't tell me nothing. Once you educated about this stuff, you can't let nobody can be able to tell you anything because they
They
still
had, they
this
had a
one
wall
girl
up in
said,
Germany for a reason. You just
right.
gotta remember that
That
forever.
girl said, she said, I'm grateful to live right here in this building. That's what she said. I said, that's a project. I said, oh my God, it's ran down too nasty. I'm like, oh my God. She said, because it's right in the middle of the city and I'm proud to, you know what I'm saying? Our president's not that bad. You know, talking about Putin, he's not that bad. You know, I want the people, I want the world to see that, Russia's not a bad place. This is what she said. And it's a lot of them on YouTube. And people say, oh, that's paid propaganda. That's Chinese people, even in China, they're showing, I mean, there's some beautiful places in China once you get out into the rural areas, you know. The vegetation, the cooking, the food, the architecture is just beautiful. I'm like, damn, I didn't know they had this part of China. They said, oh well, the Chinese government's paying them to make China look better or something. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The whole point is that these people are still in their countries and they don't seem like they're being held up, tied up, or beaten or whatever. You know, I think that being over here in America, we think that everybody need our help, and this is another thing. Like I know people get mad at black people get mad at white people. Well, we can't. They treat us as if we are babies and we can't help ourselves. We have that same mentality when it comes to these illegal people coming in. We are adopting the thinking of of who, well, I don't even know what you want to call them, but that's the observation that I made. A lot of people are happy with their homeland, you know, and most people don't leave it and don't desire to leave it. There was a Canadian girl that I watch. It's a black girl. She goes, "I've been here, I'm many generations in over here in Canada. Why would I want it?" People ask her. She said, "People ask me all the time, why don't I go to America? Like for what?" That's what she said. Why would I want to go for what? I like where I live in Canada. That's what she said. Why would I want to? What would it be an American that does what for you? That's what she said. I said, oh, snap. Okay. So that attitude is all over the world, you know.
Hmm.
It is. So we over here thinking one thing. Everybody want to come over here. Everybody want to look. It's only The traitorous, treacherous, treasonous people that want to come here. The people who are lawless want to come here. And that's facts. Only lawless people who don't want to follow what's going on in their home country, and they don't have the gall to go up against their government.
That's how these bastards started that. They didn't want to follow the laws in their country.
Mm-hmm.
And they came over here.
Yeah, and they flee. They don't care. They will leave their whole family, their whole tribe. They don't care, whatever. And then they'll come over here with their stupid flag and wave it and protest and over here something that's going on in their home country.
Pray for their country.
Yeah, like what? What? I'm done. I'm done talking. I'm done now. I'm done.
All right. It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. So with that, I'm saying shalom, shalom, good night.
Yeah. Now we gonna tell them that in front. We tell them like this, yo. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a African. Yeah, y'all like that? No more. This man's mind is open. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm an African. I'm a. Let's get back to the
motive is best developed by recognizing the common enemy.